Hey apes, Jeff here. Today I'm answering your top 3 questions about the Planetary Society's Lightsail 2 mission. Let's get to it. Question 1. What is Lightsail 2? Lightsail 2 is a solar sailing spacecraft crowdfunded and built by the Planetary Society that's currently in orbit around the Earth waiting to deploy its sails very shortly. Solar sailing is using the momentum of sunlight to push around a spacecraft in space by using a large, highly reflective sail to catch sunlight, somewhat like a traditional sailing ship uses sails to catch wind. There are a couple of important differences, though. Photons, which make up light, have no mass, unlike the air hitting a sail. They do, however, have momentum, which they can impart to the solar sail. But wait, Jeff, doesn't light always travel at a constant speed in a vacuum? Indeed it does. So you have this object with no mass, that cannot change its speed, but is imparting some energy, some momentum to this solar sail. Where is this energy coming from to push this sail around? Here's the really fascinating part. The energy is coming from the wavelength of the light. The photon is bouncing off that sail at exactly the same speed that it hit the sail at, so it's not losing any speed. It doesn't have any mass. It's not transferring any of its mass onto the sail. So instead, what happens is that when that light bounces off the sail, its wavelength stretches a little bit. The light that bounces off of that sail is slightly redder than the light was before it hit the sail. So this solar sail is being pushed around through the solar system by turning sunlight a little bit redder. That's where it's getting the energy from. Question 2. What is Lightsail 2's mission? Lightsail 2 is the successor to the Lightsail 1 mission of 2015. Lightsail 1 was basically a test run. It wasn't placed in a high enough orbit to actually do any effective solar sailing. Instead, the purpose of the mission was to test the other aspects of the spacecraft, like power, communication, orientation, that sort of more pedestrian stuff. And indeed, there were quite a few bugs and kinks that came up during the mission, but fortunately, by the end of the mission, everything got deployed properly, all the bugs got worked out, and a lot was learned from that mission, which is going to help Lightsail 2 a lot. Lightsail 1 was itself a successor to the tragically lost Cosmos 1 solar sail mission, which was a much larger, more complex spacecraft that the Planetary Society launched in 2005. After years of hard work, design, building, rigorous testing, and the hearts and desires of thousands of Planetary Society members, the spacecraft was painstakingly placed onto a Russian rocket aboard a Russian submarine that then promptly launched it directly into the North Atlantic. That was a truly grim day in space exploration then. Essentially, Lightsail 2 is a technology demonstration mission. Its job is to show that solar sailing is an effective method for moving around small CubeSats in space. CubeSat is any small satellite, usually of a uniform dimension between 30 centimeters by 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters or so, essentially about the size of a bread box. CubeSats are the future of space exploration in a lot of ways. They reduce costs, allow more access, and allow us to produce more missions for the same amount of money that we would be producing one giant mission. We can produce many, many small CubeSats to do different, more specific missions. Question 3. So what does this mission mean? It can all seem a little so what. The mission isn't a giant spacecraft. Like I said, when it's folded up, it's about the size of a bread box, and when it spreads its sail, it's about the size of a boxing ring. But it's not a particularly complex spacecraft like maybe Cassini or even, the Mars Science Laboratory or anything like that. And it's not going anywhere particularly exciting. It's in the Lightsail 2's entire mission lifetime is supposed to occur within Earth orbit. So what makes this mission so special? The reason that it matters is that if Lightsail 2 succeeds, it'll kick open the door to an entirely new era of spaceflight. The Lightsail 2 mission only cost about $7 million, which is a lot of money for you peons, but for spaceflight agencies, large governments, universities, tech companies, and famous YouTube personalities like myself, it's chump change. And most importantly, the Lightsail 2 spacecraft will be able to do something that no other spacecraft out there can do right now. It can go wherever it wants. Normal spaceflight, like we're familiar with, uses chemical propulsion rockets. And chemical propulsion rockets are great, but they have a lot of drawbacks. Principally, you have to drag your fuel around with you anywhere you want to go. If you want your spacecraft to be able to maneuver around a lot out in space, you have to take fuel with you up to space. And fuel is heavy, explosive, and expensive. And you have to drag it out of the Earth's gravity well to get it up into space. With solar sailing, you unshackle your spacecraft from the necessities of using chemical propellants. The solar sail spacecraft, like Lightsail 2, theoretically could fly to anywhere, from anywhere, and then off to somewhere new. If I'm building a traditional spacecraft and it's got really great cameras for looking at volcanoes, let's say, and so I say, okay, well, Mars has awesome volcanoes. I'm going to fly my spacecraft to Mars. That is my only destination that I'm going to be able to get to with these chemical rockets, because I'm going to have to drag a ton of fuel up into orbit, light it off, shoot my spacecraft off to Mars, and once I'm in Mars's gravity well, it would take a massive amount of fuel for me to be able to then turn and burn for somewhere else. If I want to go look at the volcanoes on Io with my nice expensive spacecraft with all these great cameras and spectrometers for looking at volcanoes, if I want to turn that thing around and fly to Io, I can't do that with a traditional chemical fuel rocket. Or if I do, it's going to cost an arm and a leg. I mean, I'm going to have to drag tons and tons of fuel up there to break out of the Martian gravity well and fly out to Jupiter. But with a solar sail, it uses no fuel at all. The spacecraft may have a few puffs of gas for maneuvering thrusters, but even that's not really necessary once you're out in space, because you can tack the sail to maneuver in any way that you want. So if I stick a solar sail on my spacecraft with these wonderful volcano cameras, I can fly it out to Mars, do my research, fly it out to Io, which is one of the moons of Jupiter. It's covered in volcanoes. Examine those volcanoes with the same instruments there. And if I change my mind, I can fly right back to Mars. And all it's going to cost me is a little bit of time. You can see that this really opens up the field for space exploration. Changes the game. Solar sailing is going to revolutionize the way that spaceflight gets done. Instead of having to build these giant, incredibly complicated, bespoke space missions to go to single destinations to do single scientific examinations, we're going to be able to build many, many more smaller, cheaper, more compact spacecraft and send them out to multiple destinations to do any kind of examinations that we want. We'll even be able to do things like have spacecraft on regular runs between two targets. We can have a spacecraft flying back and forth between Mars and the Earth, or between the Earth and the Moon, or anywhere we want. Once you get rid of the requirement for carrying around all your fuel to move you anywhere, it unlocks the entire solar system for you. So Lightsail 2 is a tiny mission, but it has huge potential to revolutionize the way that spaceflight is being done. And it's an incredibly important mission that's happening right now. So, as I said, the mission is currently in orbit around the Earth. They have not deployed their sails yet. That is not going to happen any earlier than Sunday, July 21st, so keep an eye on that. The best way to keep up with what's going on with the Lightsail mission is at www.planetary.org. That's the Planetary Society website. I'll include a link down in the description. And they have actually developed an awesome like a dashboard utility on their website that allows you to check on the spacecraft. You can see what's the temperature on the spacecraft, what's the power coming off of these batteries, are the sails deployed or not, what's the orientation, where is the spacecraft above the Earth currently. And once that sail deploys, here is the really cool part about this mission. Besides all, forget everything else that I said, here's the really awesome part. When that sail deploys, we are talking a 30-meter square of highly reflective material a couple of 100 miles up over the Earth's surface. You are going to be able to see this thing like a bright, shining satellite passing overhead. And so once those sails deploy, keep checking the website, and you'll be able to enter in what your location is, and you'll have times for when it's going to be flying over, what direction it's going to be going in, and everything. And so you will be able to go out with your own eyes, no telescope necessary, and see Lightsail traveling through the sky. It's going to look like a bright star just carrying on through the sky. So that is going to be supremely awesome. And what's coolest, to me anyway, is that this is a mission designed, built, funded, and flown by the Planetary Society, a group of people who love space and who have made donations, written letters to representatives, signed up for memberships. It's basically a quarterly magazine subscription for nerds who love space, and we built our own solar sailing space mission, and I cannot wait to see it in the sky above me. That is going to be super awesome. So I hope you'll check back here for updates on the Lightsail 2 mission going forward. And please, if you enjoyed this video, float on down to the subscribe button, like the video, hit the little bell to get notifications for new videos that get posted here. And please, tell anybody you know who might be interested in this sort of content about this channel. All right, apes, until next time, it's Jeff Thompson here, and it's time for me to float on out of here!